Hey music lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I am Generation X. I'm a Christian and I'm also a metalhead. I love me some Christian metal music, and obviously if you're going to listen to music, you need some good equipment. So I want to show you my equipment. I've got two different sets, but the main one I want to show you, I'll give you a glimpse of the other one, but I also put a video on the end screen that kind of showcases that a little bit more. But this is something that I just recently acquired because my dad passed away and it was in really bad condition. So I actually ended up taking it to Magnetic Tape Recorder in Louisville, Kentucky and having it fully restored. And it's some really nice stuff and I wanted you to see it. But it really gives you that nice 70s vibe. So when you're playing some of the older Christian music, that it almost sounds like it belongs there. But I wanted to show it to you because it's really kind of important to me. It's something that I really enjoy. And I thought maybe you'd appreciate seeing it. And maybe some of you can give me some feedback on it. So check it out. All right, well, here it is. First of all, let's talk about this receiver. This is a Kenwood KR-7600, and this thing was rode hard and put away wet. Several of the lights were out. Some of the channels didn't work. I can't sample any music on it because it'll get me hit with a copyright, but I can go ahead and show you it powered on. I love the old school meters that it has on it. It's not in perfect condition, but I did have this restored by Magnetic Tape Recorder. And then I've got some more 90s-ish stuff over here. I've got a Teac cassette player that I don't use that often. Of course, Xbox on top. That's kind of funny. And then I have this Tascam CD-RW750. So this not only plays CDs, but it can also write and rewrite CDs. It's really kind of cool. It'll tell you what song or what disc is playing right there on the digital screen. Of course, the Technics, basic. It has auto reverse. It has a little meter that shows you the sound level. But this to me is really kind of the gem in my music collection. I will go ahead and show you the stuff I've already shown you before. That was before I was really active on this channel. But then this is also something that's really cool. This is a Kenwood KD-2055. And this is called the Rock. It's got like a resin base and it's super heavy. But it's called the Rock because it looks like granite. And it has an Audio-Technica cartridge on it right here. I've actually got an extra one. Now I went ahead and put an acrylic mat on it. It seems to reduce the static, but this thing is so nice. It has a lot of features. I believe the year for this is 1977, if I remember correctly. This Kenwood is somewhere around 1976, if memory serves me. And then the speakers that I pair with it, let's go ahead and check this out. These are HDBR Klipsch Heresys. Now, what's really interesting about the HDBR Klipsch Heresys is they didn't have a finish on them. And I began to question whether or not these were actually legitimate HDBR, which stands for Heresy Distributor Birch. But you can see that these aren't the distributor editions, they're actually finished. Well, what they did is apparently you could get the factory to add this little lip here so that you could actually put the Klipsch grills on it. And my understanding is this is the laser Klipsch logo. Apparently there was some sort of friction between Paul Klipsch and the workers at Klipsch, so they took his initials off this one, known as the pie slice. But I've actually had these restored as well. Those are the factory original horns, but that is a replacement cone. Everything's original except for the cone. All the crossovers and everything exactly the same as it used to be, but I am really happy with these things. They absolutely rock. And for those of you purists that are saying that is definitely not the distributor unfinished, I know that it appears that way, but I'm going to show you something on the back of this one. As you can see, it says HDBR. So there is the serial number on this one. The serial numbers are not synchronized. There's like, I think 7 between them. I think this one is 21 and the other one is 28. But it's really cool to have this stuff in good condition and fully restored professionally. I just absolutely love this equipment, and to have something that belonged to my dad that's kind of generational is really cool. But I'll go ahead and show you the rest of the basement, although I've shown this before. There's a 1986 national champion Louisville shirt. Go Cards. This is back when they were in the Metro Conference. Of course, this is what you see in my background. This is my Petra Nook. And you can see it is loaded with Petra stuff. Really, really cool. And I mean, it is filled from wall to wall. With girder re-releases, all sorts of nice things in here. I absolutely love this. This is probably the prize of my vinyl collection, really. And then, of course, I've got the songbook. I've got the devotional book. I've got some VHSs and some girder issue cassettes, plus one of the original cassettes. This one is probably the jewel in the crown. This is the original. Now I've got the girder issue. I've actually got the original, but this is the original cover on the first pressing. So I've got 4 pressings of this. I have the girder issue, I have A&M, and then I have 2 different MERS, one with a green label and one with an orange label, and this was the green label, which was the first edition. Got a bunch of Greg X. Vol signed stuff as well. That's the classic Petra lineup signature. This is kind of a hodgepodge of several lineups, but just really cool stuff. And then we've got the California Raisins up here. I thought those were pretty cool. Louisville Championship of 2013 that apparently never happened, but I've got evidence that it did. Signed Lamar Jackson. Got an old Sanyo TV hooked up to some like knockoff Nintendo stuff. Then I've got the Striper Yellow and Black Attack in the blue. And then I have the misprint cover. I've got the Angel cover for To Hell with the Devil. And then I've got an unopened white vinyl Striper. That's my daughter's guitar. I also have one of those. This is my son's organ. This is actually a Hammond organ. It was my grandma's. Let me see if I can uncover this. So you can see it's an old Hammond organ. It's got the Leslie speaker in the back. Really cool. Signed Theocracy, limited edition Signum Regis. Absolutely love my Pat Terry albums. I'm not fond of his musical style, but I just think his album covers are just epic. Signed Disciple that I actually got at a concert hosted at my church. Got some video game stuff. Blood Good. I've got what they call a vinyl killer. That's that little van that drives on your vinyl and just tears it up. Signed Chaotic Resemblance. A little bit of his Chaotic Resemblance collection. Then I've got John DeGroff and John Schlitt and Greg Huff. John and Greg are original members of Petra. Theocracy booklet. Maybe one day I'll show that to you. Striper mug. That's not official. That's a Striper Bible. Love Song on 8-track Carmen VHSs. Res Band. Signed Chaotic Resemblance set list and some different items. A signed Michael Sweet 10 album. Signed Live in Japan VHS. A couple Larry Norman items that I thought was pretty cool. And then that is a signed Daryl Mansfield harmonica. If you don't know who Daryl Mansfield is, I'm really sorry about your luck. This is really cool. This is my arcade. And this actually has several games on it. Really cool. I enjoyed this occasionally. It's not something I use often. Some original Atari stuff. An album that I know absolutely nothing about, but I just thought the record cover was awesome. Destroyer of Death, Martin Simpson, signed by the band. That is incredible. And then Agape Land, and of course we're back to my dad's stuff that I inherited. That's his mugs on top, and that's his belt also. So now let's go ahead and go inside my cave, and I'll show you. Now this is a glorified closet, just fair warning. And this will just be a quick look, and I'll put on the end screen a video that gives you a little bit more of a thorough look, but check it out. All right, as I said, this is basically a glorified closet, but this is how I store my records. That's actually, I think it's called a Teac wall mount record rack. I have my father-in-law make some out of wood that are similar. Witch hazel. This is really cool. Whenever I'm playing a record, I have this little now playing thing on the wall. Of course, there's a Star Wars. This is a signed Skillet. This is a signed skateboard by a skate team. Can't remember their names. That was my dad's Frisbee. Then we have a linear tracking Technics SLQL15. This thing is awesome because the stylus stays up in the lid and you close it and you use it basically just like a CD player. Then this is my Marantz SR9000G. These guys are pretty hard to find. It was one of the first stereos made that actually has a digital reader for the stations. It's really cool because it looks like a little smiley face when the music is playing. Obviously I can't play music because it'll get a copyright strike. And then this is really cool too because this is a top loader. First-ish generation Philips CD202. It'd be a 100, I believe it is, or a 101 if it was actually true first generation. So they consider this first generation and a half. It's definitely not second generation. It has the same technology as the 100. And then I have a Teac V909RX as my cassette player. This one's really cool too because it's got meter readings and everything. It also comes with a remote that you can plug into it and control it from your chair, and you can see it's got lots of cable to it. So I can't imagine how inconvenient that was. And then to jam this, I actually have SP Z99 Sansuis. These things absolutely rock and roll. They have 15-inch subwoofers and then They have like the mid-range and the tweeter, and then your sizzle highs. I mean, this thing is just incredible. It also has some bass control and different power options on this. You can listen normal, soft, soft 2. You can have powered bass. It gives it just a little bit more oomph when it's playing. It also, this reads the sound level. Really cool. And then of course I have a good old-fashioned CD tower, which is not capable of holding all my CDs, so I have them. That is my dad's Harley Davidson gas tank. It was an extra one he had for his motorcycle. That is my new Audio-Technica LP120. This one has the USB option, but it does not have Bluetooth. I didn't want that. I put a cork mat on that one. And then down here I have a little bit more of my Petra stuff. I have like so many different variants of CDs. That was mine when I was a kid. This little mouse bank here. It was made by my great-grandmother Clifford. This was mine when I was a little boy, and I used that in my house. I actually robbed money from it. That little color blanket behind it right there was my baby blanket. This is my original Atari 2600 6-switch. I'm not going to get all that out because I don't want to fool with it, but this was my first big boy cup. Back in the 70s, Tim Nichols' Big Boy Cup was a Bugs Bunny cup, and this was my first coffee cup as a kid. Never drank coffee, but anyhow, I think my parents got it from Disney World. And then some comic book stuff that belonged to my dad. I also have the 2600 Plus that kind of mimics the 2600. It even plays some of the cartridges. Not all of them. Some of them can be finicky. Then I've got like the SNES and the NES Classic. Good old Pioneer Laserdisc player that still works. And a Go Video dual VHS player. So really cool stuff. Anyhow, there you have it. There's what I jam out on. Now, when I want real like power, I go for the Marantz. That thing I believe has the capability of 120 or so watts per channel. For some of you audiophiles and different ones that know all the details about these things, I'm sure you're much smarter than me. That let me know in the comments. If I remember correctly, the Kenwood has somewhere in the 80s watts per channel. That thing gets the job done. It's really, really nice. But there's something really powerful about that Marantz. But I really enjoy listening to music on my dad's old stereo. It just takes me back to when I was a kid. And he would have that thing cranked up. I mean, if Dad was enjoying music, so were the neighbors. So my dad's name was William Nichols. They called him Billy Bones because he was skinny. So now you see where I get it from. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on.